In the wide darkness of space, stars shone like faraway lights. The Galactic Concord had existed for thousands of years. It was a large group where many alien species lived and worked together. They shared trade, rules, and a big council hall. For the past 200 years, humans had joined this group. Humans came late. When Earth's ships first met aliens, the other races looked at them strangely. Some felt curious, others felt pity. "They are still young," the aliens said. "They used basic rockets not long ago." Many called humans primitive or simple. But humans stayed polite. They learned the alien languages. They followed the customs. They obeyed the laws. Above all, they waited and accepted things without complaint. Captain Ji-ho Kim stood on the bridge of the United Earthship Endurance. The ship was not huge or fast like some alien vessels, but it was strong and trusted. Ji-ho was 42. His black hair had a few gray lines now. His face stayed calm, even when others lost their temper. He wore a plain blue uniform with no bright decorations. Humans did not like to show off. The Endurance hovered near Harmony Hub, the giant ring station at the center of the Concord. Inside the main council room, a meeting took place. Ji-ho watched it on the large screen. The topic was a small fight over land between the tall Varelians, who had bright feathers, and the short Krell, who wore thick armor. Both sides argued loudly in their own sounds. Clicks, trills, and sharp words. Translators tried hard to keep everything clear. A Varelian delegate rose. He was very tall, with red feathers that shone under the lights. He pointed a long claw at the human seats. "Why do these mammals sit here at all?" he asked in clear standard tongue. "They bring only slow talk and weak ideas. Their minds are too basic for real matters." Laughter spread through the room. It was not loud, but it hurt. He had heard such words many times. He pressed a button to silence the sound for a second. He breathed slowly. Then he turned the sound back on. Next to him stood Ambassador Ha-un Park. She was 35, with sharp dark eyes and black hair pulled back neatly. Ha-un never forgot anything. She remembered every rude word, every unfair deal, every time humans were ignored or pushed aside. Now her face showed nothing, but Ji-ho saw the small lines of anger near her lips. "They do this every time," she said in a low voice. "Every meeting, every year." Ji-ho gave one small nod. "We stay quiet. That is our way." Ha-un made a short, unhappy smile. Quiet is not the same as weak, but they see it that way. On Earth, in Seoul, people watched the same meeting in offices and homes. Min-sek Lee, a young man of 28, sat at his desk with screens glowing. One screen showed the council live. Another showed trade records. The third held a secret list called Incidents. Min-sok added today's words to the list. Varelian delegate mocked humans in open council. He leaned back and rubbed his eyes. Min-sok had started this job excited. He wanted to prove humans belonged in the galaxy. Now, after 5 years, he felt mostly tired. "How long do we keep acting nice?" he said to the empty room. In another part of the city, Commander Tae-woo Choi sat alone in his small apartment. Tae-woo was 51. He had wide shoulders and old scars on his hands from battles long ago. For 20 years he had worked on mixed missions with aliens. Many times, alien leaders sent human soldiers to the most dangerous places. Humans died first. The reports always said, acceptable losses. Tae-woo never spoke against it in meetings. But at night, he looked at old pictures of lost friends and felt anger burn inside him like a fire that would not die. Back on the Endurance, the meeting finished with no fair answer. The Varelians took most of the mining area. The Krell got a small payment. Humans got nothing, not even thanks for their ideas to keep peace. Ji-ho turned to his crew. Set course for the outer train post. Inspection duty starts next week. Seiyun Kim, the young helmsman, no family relation to Jiho, answered quickly. She was 29, good with math, and fast at fixing things. Yes, Captain, we arrive in 3 days. The ship turned slowly away from the bright lights of Harmony Hub. Jiho looked out the window at the endless stars. Out there were human colonies, small towns on distant worlds where people worked hard to live normal lives. They paid large taxes to the Concord. They followed every law. Still, aliens treated them like outsiders or servants. That evening, in the ship's small eating area, a few crew members sat together. Ha-un joined them. They talked quietly. Ensign Minji Choi, Taewoo's niece, spoke first. I heard the Varelian today. Same old words. Jiho drank his tea slowly. Words do not cost them anything. But actions come after words, Ha-un said. Last month on Nexera Prime, a Krell guard pushed a human girl into the road. She was only walking. The girl broke her arm. The guard got one spoken warning. Nothing more. The table went quiet. Seo Yoon spoke next. My cousin works on a mining station with aliens. Varelian bosses make humans do extra hours. If humans say no, pay gets cut. If humans argue, guards come. And guards are always Krell. Jiho put his cup down very carefully. We write down everything. We send reports. We follow their rules. Minji looked straight at him. What if their rules are made to hold us back forever? Jiho met her eyes. Then one day the rules must change. No one said anything after that. Later, in his private room, Jiho opened a hidden file on his tablet. It was locked with strong codes, not part of any official record. Inside were messages from many people, captains, ambassadors, soldiers, normal workers, all the quiet anger collected over many years. He read one message from Taewoo, sent months ago. Captain, I lost another team today. Crow leader told us to hold a hill while his people ran away. We held. They left. 32 gone. No questions asked, no sorry said. Just another acceptable loss. How many more can we accept? Jiho closed the file. He stared at the metal wall for a long time. In her own room, Ha-un opened her file. She called it the Ledger. It was much bigger than Jiho's. Page after page listed dates, names, bad events. Shipments of bad food, marked safe for humans only. Trade deals where humans got half the money promised. Colonies forced to move because better races needed space. Help for sick people delayed because older members come first. She added today's council words. At the bottom of the page she wrote small letters. How much longer? She had no answer. Far away on Earth, night covered Seoul. Minsek walked home under streetlights. He saw families eating dinner, children playing, old people talking on benches. Normal life, safe life. But Minsek knew the truth. That safety came from people like Jiho, Ha-un, and Taewoo. People who held their anger inside every day so others could live without fear. He stopped and looked up at the sky full of stars. Somewhere up there the galaxy kept laughing at humans. And deep inside every person who had seen it, a small voice started to speak. Years passed like slow waves in space. The Galactic Concord grew richer every cycle. Alien worlds built taller towers and brighter ships. Human technology helped make it all possible. Humans gave fusion cores that never failed. They shared medicines that cured diseases aliens had suffered for centuries. They taught how to turn dead rocks into green farms. In return, humans received polite nods, small payments, and the same old place at the back of every table. On the busy trade world of Nexara Prime, Ambassador Ha-un Park walked through crowded streets. The air smelled of hot metal and sweet alien fruits. Bright signs in many languages flashed above shops. Ha-un wore simple gray clothes so she would not stand out. She came here often to check on human merchants. Today she met a young trader named Jiwoo Lee. Ji-woo was 26, with quick hands and a warm smile. She sold Earth-grown rice and spices, things aliens liked but never admitted they needed. Ji-woo bowed when she saw Ha-eun. "Ambassador, good to see you." Ha-eun returned the bow. "How is business?" Ji-woo's smile faded a little. "Good money, bad treatment. Yesterday, a Varelian customer said my food tasted like dirt from a low planet. Then he threw the bowl at my feet. The market guards laughed. They said humans should clean better." Ha-eun wrote the words in her small notebook. She did not show anger on her face. "Did you report it?" Ji-woo shook her head. "What's the point? Last time I reported, the Concord office said it was a cultural misunderstanding. They told me to be more understanding." Ha-eun closed the notebook. "Keep records anyway. One day it will matter." That night, in a quiet room above the market, Ji-woo sat alone. She opened a message from her family on Earth. Her younger brother, only 19, had joined a science team on a shared research station. The message said he was excited. He wanted to study the old alien ruins they found. Ji-woo smiled at the words. She sent back love and told him to stay safe. 2 weeks later, the news came. A Varelian merchant had invited the human science team to dinner. It was supposed to be friendly. The food looked normal, but something in the sauce was poison. Not enough to kill most aliens, but deadly for humans. 3 scientists died quickly. Ji-woo's brother was one of them. The others suffered for hours before help arrived too late. The Concord court met fast. The merchant said it was a joke. "I wanted to see if their weak stomachs could handle real food," he explained with a laugh. The judges listened. They fined him a small amount of credits, less than the cost of one good meal. "Accident resolved," the report said. Ji-woo received the body in a cold metal box. She stood at the spaceport alone. No alien came to say sorry. No one from the Concord sent flowers. She carried the box home herself. After the funeral on Earth, Ji-woo changed. She left trading. She joined naval intelligence. She asked for one thing: access to old records. Day after day she read reports of small hurts that never got fixed. She built a new file on her secure terminal. She called it the Ledger 2, just like Ha-eun. But Ji-woo's version grew faster. She added names, dates, pictures. She added her brother's last message. "Sis, the food here is strange, but the work is great. Love you." Every time she read it, her hands shook. But she kept working, quiet, steady, collecting. Far from Nexara Prime, on a cold mining station called Rock 7, Commander Tae-woo Choi walked the dark tunnels. The air was thick with dust. Lights flickered. Human workers wore heavy suits and carried heavy tools. Alien overseers, mostly Varelian and Krell, stood on high platforms and shouted orders. Tae-woo led the human crew. His job was simple: dig fast, stay alive, send ore to the Concord ships. The aliens paid humans less than half what they paid their own kind. If humans worked slow, pay stopped. If humans got hurt, the company said, "Personal mistake." No help came. One shift, a young miner named Hyun-woo Park slipped on loose rock. His leg broke. He cried out. The Varelian overseer looked down from the platform. "Get up," he said. "We have quotas." Hyun-woo could not move. Tae-woo ran over. He lifted the man carefully. "Medical team now," he told the overseer. The Varelian clicked his beak. "Humans are soft. He rests. We lose time. Replace him." Tae-woo looked up. His voice stayed low. "He is hurt. We take him out." The overseer laughed. "Then your whole crew loses pay for the day. Your choice." Tae-woo carried Hyun-woo to the lift himself. The other humans watched in silence. No one spoke against the overseer. Not out loud. That night in the sleeping quarters, Tae-woo sent an encrypted message to Earth. Another injury ignored. Same story. How long do we let this happen? The answer came back the next day. Hold position. Document everything. Not yet. Tae-woo stared at the words for a long time. Then he added the incident to his own private list. He had started keeping one years ago. The list was now very long. On Earth, Min-sok Lee still worked in the quiet office in Seoul. His screens showed more than before. Trade numbers, colony reports, casualty lists from joint missions. Every month the numbers grew worse for humans. More deaths, more unfair deals, more laughter from aliens who thought humans would never fight back. Min-sok met with a small group of friends one evening. They sat in a dark cafe near the river. No one recorded the talk. They spoke in low voices. One friend, a soldier named Min-ji Choi, said, "My uncle Tae-woo sent another message. Same thing. Humans die, aliens walk away." Min-sok nodded. "I see the numbers. We give them everything. They give us nothing." Another friend, So-yoon Kim, leaned forward. She worked in fleet planning. "Our ships are better now, faster, stronger. We hide it, but we have weapons they have never seen." "Why do we hide?" "Because if we show them," Min-sok said, "they will fear us, and fear makes enemies." Min-ji looked at him. "They already treat us like enemies, we just don't answer back." The table went quiet. Outside, rain fell on the city. Lights reflected on wet streets. Normal life went on. But inside every person there, the same question lived. How much more? Months later, a neutron storm hit the mixed colony on Vale's edge. The storm was strong. Shields failed. People ran to evacuation ships. The Krell fleet arrived first. They loaded only Krell citizens. Humans stood in lines, waiting. The Krell ships left without a word. Thousands of humans stayed behind. Earth sent rescue ships as fast as possible. They arrived in time to save most, but 50 died from cold and lack of air. The Concorde sent a short message. "Regret the delay. Krell acted within emergency protocol." No apology, no help with costs, nothing. Ji-ho Kim read the report on the Endurance. He sat in his chair for a long time. Then he opened his hidden file. He added the names of the dead. He looked at their pictures. Young faces, old faces, all gone because aliens thought humans could wait. He closed the file. In her office, Ha-eun added the storm to the ledger. She wrote at the bottom of the page, "Still holding, but the weight grows." On Rock 7, Tae-woo stood in the dark tunnel after shift. He looked at the stone walls. He thought of friends lost over the years. He thought of orders to stay quiet. He thought of the storm on Vale's edge. He whispered to himself, "Not forever." And somewhere deep inside, every human who had endured, the same words repeated, "Not forever." The galaxy had grown used to humans staying quiet. For 200 years, they took the insults, the bad deals, the lost lives. Aliens talked about it openly. "Humans bend but never break," a Krell admiral once said, with a smile full of sharp teeth. Good workers, safe neighbors. No one worried about them anymore. They were the steady ones, the ones who cleaned up messes, the ones who said sorry even when it was not their fault. Then came the crisis of Epsilon Vale. A small moon circled a dead star far from the main trade lanes. Miners digging for rare metals found something strange buried deep. It was old, older than any known species, a smooth black sphere the size of a house. When touched, it hummed. Lights moved inside like slow thoughts. Scientists from many races came to study it. They called it the precursor artifact. Tests showed it could bend reality, change gravity, open small doors in space, make weapons that could end fleets with one pulse. Every species wanted it. The Concorde called an emergency summit on Harmony Hub to decide who got what. Humans sent their best team. Admiral Ji-ho Kim led them. He wore his plain blue uniform. Ambassador Ha-eun Park stood beside him with her notebook. They had prepared for weeks. Their plan was simple and fair. Share the research. Build strict rules so no one could use it alone. Give extra time to species that had given the least help to the Concord in the past. Humans would take less for themselves. They wanted peace more than power. The council chamber was full. Tall Varelians with shining feathers sat in the front rows. Krell in heavy armor filled the middle seats. Smaller species crowded the back. Humans took their usual place near the side wall. Jiho spoke first when the moderator called his name. He stood straight. His voice was calm and clear through the translators. The artifact is too strong for one group. We must work together, or it will be our ruin. Then he paused, and his next words rang out. We have built our plan on trust. We suggest open labs on neutral ground. All data shared every day. Priority testing for species with low past contributions. This way, everyone gains. No one fears surprise attacks. He sat down. For a moment, the room stayed quiet. Then laughter started. First small chuckles, then loud laughs that echoed off the high walls. The Virelian High Envoy rose. He was very old, with gold feathers and a voice like breaking glass. He looked down at Jiho. These hairless mammals think they deserve a seat at the table, he said. They are tolerated pets, nothing more. They bring toys and tricks, but no true understanding. The artifact belongs to those with real civilization, not to apes who still remember mud and fire. More laughter. Some clapped. A few smaller species looked away, ashamed but silent. Ha-Un wrote every word in her notebook. Her hand did not shake. Jiho kept his face blank. He had heard worse. The room felt heavier. The Krell delegation leader stood next. He was short and wide, with black armor that clicked when he moved. We agree with our Virelian friends, he said. But talk is slow. We have already taken action. He pressed a button on his arm pad. A large screen lit up in the center of the chamber. Live feed. Clear picture. The moon of Epsilon Vale. The dig site. Human scientists in white suits worked inside a sealed tent. Krell soldiers stood around them. The camera moved closer. One human, a young woman, looked up at the lens. Her face showed fear. Then a Krell soldier grabbed her arm. Another pushed a sharp tool into her side. She screamed. The sound filled the chamber. The feed kept going. They cut open another scientist while he was still alive. Blood on the floor. Please in standard tongue. Please stop. We are not armed. The Krell voice on the feed said, Field research. Humans make good test subjects. Interesting reactions. The screams went on. The chamber watched in silence now. No laughter anymore. Some aliens turned their heads. Others stared. The Krell leader spoke again. We follow protocol. Preemptive study is allowed when new objects appear. Humans were there first. Convenient. Jiho felt something cold move inside him. Not hot anger. Cold. Like ice forming on a lake. Ha-Un closed her notebook slowly. Her eyes stayed on the screen until the feed cut to black. The moderator, a neutral machine voice, spoke next. The session continues. Next speaker. No one spoke for a long minute. Then the Virelian envoy smiled. See? Even now they sit quiet. Good pets. Jiho stood again. He did not raise his voice. This ends here, he said. We will respond. The room laughed once more, short and sharp. They thought he meant more words, more reports, more patience. He walked out. Ha-Un followed. The doors closed behind them. On Earth, the live feed reached every home, office, and ship at the same time. In Seoul, families froze at dinner tables. Children stopped playing. Old people put down their tea. In small colony towns on distant worlds, workers in dusty suits watched on cracked screens. Mothers held babies tighter. Fathers stared at the floor. In a quiet apartment, Min-Sok Lee sat with his screens dark. He had seen the feed. His hands rested on the desk. He did not move for a long time. Then he opened the ledger file. He added the date, the names of the dead scientists, the words of the Virelian envoy, the Krell explanation. He wrote one line at the bottom. Enough. In his small room on Rock 7, Tae-woo Choi watched the same feed. Dust still covered his suit. He sat on the edge of his bunk. When the screams started, he closed his eyes. When they stopped, he opened them again. Something in his face changed. Not rage, not yet. He sent one short message to his contacts on Earth. Ready when you are. Ji-woo Lee, now a senior intelligence officer, stood in a dark room full of screens. Officers around her worked in silence. She watched the feed loop again and again. Her brother's face appeared in her mind. Then the faces on the screen. She turned to her team. Activate silent channels, she said. All fleets, all colonies. Code Black. Code Black, words no one had used in 200 years. It meant stop waiting, start moving. On the Endurance, now in deep space, Ji-ho stood on the bridge. The crew watched him. So-yoon sat at the helm, her hands weighted on the controls. Min-ji stood at tactical. Tae-woo had sent his report from the mining station. Everyone knew what came next. Ji-ho looked at the stars outside. Send the order, he said quietly. To every ship, every base, every person. The message went out encrypted and short. Tolerance has ended. Back on Harmony Hub, the summit continued. Aliens talked about dividing the artifact. They argued over shares. They laughed about the humans who walked out. No one noticed the small changes at first. A few trade ships delayed. Some communication lines went quiet. A Krell patrol reported strange readings near their border. Then the first report came in. A Virelian command station near the core worlds stopped answering. Sensors showed explosions. Clean. Precise. No warning. The Krell admiral who laughed in the chamber received a private message on his pad. It showed his own hive ship. A human boarding team moved through the halls. Fast. Silent. They carried no flags, only black suits and cold eyes. The galaxy had waited 200 years for humans to speak. Now, they did not speak. They acted, and no one was ready. Earth did not explode in wild anger. No crowds filled the streets shouting for blood. No leaders gave long speeches full of fire. The response came quiet, fast, and exact, like a machine that had waited too long to start. Within 3 hours of the summit ending, hidden orders moved across every human world and ship. Fleets that looked old and simple on the outside carried weapons no alien had ever seen. Shipyards tucked inside asteroid belts opened their doors. Engines that ran silent turned on. Shields stronger than any Concorde design powered up without a sound. Admiral Ji-ho Kim stood on the bridge of the Endurance. The ship was no longer just a diplomatic vessel. It led the first strike group now. 20 fast cruisers, 50 destroyers, and hundreds of small attack craft. All black hulls. No flags. No lights except for battle glow. Ji-ho looked at his officers. Ha-eun Park stood beside him in her gray ambassador coat. She had traded her notebook for a command tablet. Seo-yun sat at the helm. Min-ji worked tactical screens. Min-sok had come up from Earth on the fastest shuttle. He now handled communications. Ji-ho spoke in a low voice. Targets confirmed? Min-sok nodded. Yes, Admiral. Virelium command centers, Krell hive ships, the artifact site, all marked. Ha-eun added, we hit only military and command. No cities, no civilians. We want them to remember, not hate forever. Ji-ho gave one short nod. Begin. The first strikes happened at the same moment across 20 systems. On Viro Prime, the The High Council building, a tall tower of white stone, lit up with bright flashes. No bombs fell from the sky. Small drones slipped through the fences like shadows. They carried precise energy lances. The tower's top floors vanished in clean cuts. The High Envoy, who had called humans pets, sat in his chair when the beam found him. He had no time to scream. Krell hive ships, giant round nests full of soldiers, floated near their border worlds. Boarding teams arrived without warning. Black-suited figures moved through vents and service tunnels. They carried stun weapons and short blades. Tae-Woo Choi led one team himself. He moved fast for a man his age. His old scars did not slow him. Inside the main hive chamber, Krell officers stared at screens showing human faces. Tae-Woo stepped out of a side door. His team followed. The Krell reached for weapons. Too late. Stun pulses dropped them. Tae-Woo walked to the main console. He plugged in a small device. It looped the recording from Epsilon Vale, the screams of human scientists. It played on every screen in the ship, then on every Krell world, then on every Concord channel. Tae-Woo looked at the stunned officers. "You studied us," he said. "Now we return the lesson." They loaded the Krell into escape pods, one by one. No death. Just ejection toward home with the recording playing forever. The pods carried a message in clear standard tongue. This is reciprocity. At the Epsilon Vale moon, Seo Yun led the ground team. She had studied the artifact for months in secret files. Her squad moved through the ruins. Krell guards fired wild shots. Human soldiers answered with tight bursts. Clean. No waste. They reached the black sphere. It hummed louder when Seo Yun touched it. She spoke into her comm. "Artifact secure. No damage." Jiho's voice came back. "Good. Bring it home." Back in space, human fleets moved like water. They slipped past sensors. They cut supply lines. They took command ships without firing a full barrage. Alien admirals who once laughed, now sent panic messages. Humans are attacking. Shields failing. Request aid. No aid came. Other species watched from far away. They did not move to help. They had seen what happened when humans stayed quiet. Now they saw what happened when that quiet ended. On Harmony Hub, the council chamber filled with shouts again. This time not laughter, fear. Delegates ran to their ships. Some found their ships locked. Others found human boarding teams waiting inside. Calm. Polite. "Please come with us," the team said. "You will sign new terms." Ha-Un led the talks on the hub. She stood in the same chamber where the insult started. Now the seats were empty, except for the ones who had spoken loudest. A Varelian envoy, his feathers dull now, sat in chains of light. A Krell admiral knelt beside him. Ha-Un spoke clearly. "For 200 years we followed your rules. We took your words, your fines, your deaths. We wrote them all down, every one." She opened a large screen. The ledger appeared. Pages scrolled. Names, dates, pictures, the poisoned dinner, the mining accidents, the abandoned colony, the live dissection. Thousands of lines. "This is balance." The Virelian looked up. His voice shook. "You were weak." Jiho stepped forward. "We were kind. Kindness is not weakness. When kindness stops, you meet what was always there." He turned to the screen. "The new charter is ready. Equal seats, equal trade, full reparations for every listed incident, and one rule. Never mistake patience for fear again." They signed. Hands shook. Eyes looked down. No arguments, no laughs. Across the stars, human ships pulled back slowly. They did not stay to rule. They did not burn worlds. They left warnings in orbit. Small drones that broadcast the same message in every language. "We can do this again. Do not make us." On Earth, people watched the reports come in. Families sat together. No cheering. No tears of joy. Just quiet relief. Min Seok walked the streets of Seoul at night. Lights shone bright. People smiled again. Children laughed. Life felt lighter. In his apartment, Tae-woo opened a bottle of soju. He poured 2 glasses. One for him, one for the empty chair where his lost friends used to sit. He raised the glass. To the end of waiting, he said. On the Endurance, Ji-ho stood alone on the bridge. The artifact rested in a sealed hold below. So-yun came up beside him. "It's over," she said. Ji-ho looked at the stars. "It's not over. It's changed." Ha-eun joined them. She held her old notebook. The pages were full. She closed it for the last time. "They will remember this day," she said. Ji-ho nodded. "Good. Let them remember." And in every alien mind, from the tallest Virelian tower to the deepest Krell hive, one truth settled like dust after a storm. Humans had not been weak. They had chosen to wait, and when they chose to stop, the galaxy shook. The galaxy woke up to a new morning it did not expect. Harmony Hub, once the loud heart of the Concord, stayed quiet. No delegates argued in the big chamber. No laughter echoed off the walls. The screens that used to show trade deals and council votes now showed one thing: the new charter. Humans had written it. Every species had signed it. No one refused. The rules were short and clear. Every race got one equal seat at the main table. No more front rows for the tall or armored. Trade deals must give fair prices. No more cultural misunderstandings to excuse harm. Reparations started flowing back to Earth and human colonies. Credits for lost lives. Credits for stolen work. Credits for every page in the ledger. Ships that once ignored human calls now answered fast. Guards who once pushed humans aside now stepped back when a human walked by. On Earth, life did not change with loud celebrations. People went to work. Children went to school. Markets stayed busy. But something felt different. Shoulders stood straighter. Eyes looked up more often. In Seoul, old men sat on benches and talked about the old days. They spoke of patience like a heavy coat they had worn too long. Now they took it off. The air felt lighter. Admiral Ji-ho Kim returned to Earth after many months. The Endurance docked at Incheon Spaceport under a clear blue sky. No big parade waited, just a small group of officials and family. Ji-ho stepped out in his plain blue uniform. His hair had more gray now. He carried no medals. He did not need them. Ha-eun Park walked beside him. She still held her old notebook, but the pages stayed closed. She looked at the city lights in the distance. "It's strange," she said, "to walk here without thinking of the next insult." Ji-ho gave a small smile. "We earned this quiet." In a small meeting room later that day, they sat with others who had carried the weight. Tae-woo Choi came from the mining station. His hands still showed old scars. Min-suk Lee joined from his office. So-yun and Min-ji stood near the window. Ji-woo Lee sat quietly in the corner. They did not talk much at first. They just looked at each other. Faces that had stayed strong for so long now showed something softer. Tae-woo broke the silence. "I thought we would never see this day." Ji-ho nodded. "Many of us thought the same." Ha-eun opened her notebook one last time. She read the final line she had written before the snap. "Still holding, but the weight grows." She tore the page out carefully. Then she tore every page after it. She placed the pieces in a small metal box. "No more lists," she said. "From now on, we live forward." They buried the box under a young tree in a park near the Han River. No marker, no name, just earth and roots to hold the past. Across the stars, the message spread in every language. Traders on distant worlds whispered it. Pilots told it in quiet bars. Children learned it in schools. No species will ever forget the moment humanity's tolerance finally snapped. On Virel Prime, the new council sat in a smaller room. No tall towers, no gold feathers on display. The old High Envoy was gone, retired in shame. A younger delegate spoke carefully now. "We must respect the new terms," he said. "Humans do not threaten, they promise." The others nodded. No one laughed. In Krell hives, soldiers trained differently. They learned human names. They studied human faces, not to mock, to understand. The recording of the screen still played in training halls, not as a joke, but as a warning. "This is what happens when patience ends," instructors said. "Do not test it again." At the Epsilon Vale moon, the black sphere rested in a new human station. Scientists from every race worked together now. No one took it apart alone. They shared every discovery. Seo-Yoon visited often. She touched the sphere sometimes. It hummed softly, like it knew her. One day she stood with Jiho on the observation deck. Stars filled the window. "Do you think they learned?" she asked. Jiho looked out for a long time. "Some did, some will forget, but enough remember. That is what matters." Years passed again. Not slow like before, steady. Human colonies grew, new ships flew with better engines, trade routes opened wider. Aliens came to Earth now, not as rulers, but as guests. They ate Korean food in small restaurants. They walked in parks. They asked questions without scorn. In one restaurant in Seoul, an old Varelian sat with a human family. His feathers had faded. He spoke softly. "I was there," he said, "in the chamber. I laughed too." The father listened. The children watched with wide eyes. The Varelian continued. "I learned something that day. Kindness is a choice, and when the choice ends, the lesson begins. We all choose." The Varelian raised his cup. "To better choices." They drank together. On the bridge of a new ship named Patience, ironic but fitting, Jiho stood one last time before retirement. Ha-Un stayed with him. They looked at the stars. No fleets waited in hiding anymore. No secret files. Just open space. "Do you miss it?" Ha-Un asked. Jiho shook his head. "No, I miss nothing about waiting." She smiled. "Then we did it right." Far away, Minsek walked along the river at night. Lights danced on the water. He thought of the old screens, the lists, the anger he kept inside. Now he carried none of it. He stopped and looked up. The stars looked the same, but the galaxy felt different. In every corner of known space, the truth settled deep. Humans had not been small. They had not been weak. They had chosen to hold back the storm. And when they let it go, no one forgot. Not the tall ones with bright feathers. Not the armored ones with sharp teeth. Not the small ones who once hid in the back. They all remembered. And in the quiet that followed, a new rule lived unspoken but strong. Never again take kindness for granted. Because when humanity's tolerance finally snapped, the galaxy did not break.